Hey, rock stars, Kenzie here. We're going to jump right into it tonight. I'm really excited because we have Joanna with us tonight, who was just saying she doesn't get to tune in very often, but she's here with us tonight, and I have asked her to share a little bit about how she chooses joy, about how she celebrates all victories in her life, and how she puts one foot in front of the other to build her doTERRA business. Um, Joanna, you're an inspiration to me, obviously, hanging out with you online for the last, I don't know, year or so. You just amaze me. I mean, I'm so inspired. And sometimes I have to have a pep talk with myself. Like if Joanna can do this and feel this good about it and be this positive, like I got to put my big girl pants on and handle my stuff. So I'm excited to hear from you and hear your heart and have you share with us tonight. I'm going to turn it right over to you.
Well, thank you. You're making me blush. That's so sweet. So, hi, I'm Joanna Sacco. I live in Boston with my husband and my 4 kids and a dog and a cockatiel and now 2 baby goats, which we just got. So we're kind of like a big, crazy family. But I was introduced to doTERRA when I was pregnant with my 3rd child. And I fell in love with the oils and I wanted nothing to do with the business because I had previous experience with another MLM company that did not bring me joy. It brought me like the opposite of joy. So I was like, I want nothing to do with that ever again. I don't want to use your scripts and make these calls and do all these things. So for a year, what I basically did was I did the business without knowing that I was doing the business. I was oiling everybody. I was just like sharing my love for the oils and how, like my amazement at how well they worked. And finally, it clicked that, wow, I'm telling all these people about oils and then they're going to go and get them from somebody else anyway, because it just makes sense that they need their own wholesale account, right? So I might as well reap the benefits of all the seeds that I've been sowing. So I jumped into the business and right away it started bringing me joy. It was nothing like that other MLM company. There was no right way or wrong way to build it. You just got to create how you wanted it to be. There was nobody kind of breathing down your throat about like, okay, you have to work this many hours and you have to do this many things and that, like, it was just so natural. Like it felt really, really good. And I had a lot of girl crushes in our upline for sure. Automatically, I was drawn to Romy, especially, and Natalie. Like, I was just like, girl, like fangirling over them all the time. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be like them. And someday I'm going to be a diamond and I want to do what they do because I could just see how they inspired so many people and changed so many people's lives, like my own included. They made me start dreaming and seeing what was possible when previously I really just prescribed to that 40-40-40 plan, which you guys might have heard me talk about in other Zooms. You know, you work 40 hours a week for 40 years to retire in 40% of your income. And I was just like, this is for the birds. Like, I don't want to do this. So when I saw these women who are similar to me make these big leaps in their belief systems and this paradigm shift and what life really could be and be successful at it, I was just like, yes, like I'm going to do that. And I'm going to bring as many people with me as possible because I think everybody should have that. So right away, I just had this image of having this team of strong, powerful, inspiring, positive leaders. And they just, like, I don't want to make it sound simplistic because I definitely put the work in. You know, I did the classes, I did the reaching out, I did the work, but the leaders just showed up naturally. And I don't know if it was just, I'm a big believer of manifestation, law of attraction, you know, seeing it, believing it, the vision boards, having that all out there and just doing everything with joy. And when you're doing it with joy and with ease, people are going to be attracted to you and they're going to be drawn to you. And the way that I felt about some of, you know, our upline leaders, like people are going to feel that way about you. So I guess my advice for anybody who is watching, if you're struggling, figure out what it is that brings you joy about this business and really just run with that and focus on it because people are going to see that. They're going to see you light up when you're working from that place of joy rather than a place of lack or a place of struggle. So really just find that. And if you're not finding joy in your business, take a step back and figure out, okay, what did I initially get attracted to? What did I initially get attracted to? Why did I want to do this? What were my goals? What is it that I see myself doing? And come out of like sort of the mud and the muck and figure out what the disconnect is between the initial excitement and where you might be now, if that's not kind of where you are. And um, just get yourself back to that. And if you never really had that, allow yourself to dream really big, allow yourself to have those big visions, and think about what you want your leaders to look like when they come. And if you're in that state of, oh, well, nobody wants to do the business, or the market is saturated, or everybody already is enrolled, or whatever else, stop it. Don't do it. Come out of that space, because I can tell you, I just did a live video for my team where a couple of weeks ago I went on a retreat at Kripalu Yoga Center here out in the Berkshires in Massachusetts. So if you know who Elena Brower is, she's like the face of yoga, right? Like, and now she's the face of doTERRA. She went presidential diamond in a ridiculously short amount of time. And she teaches at Kripalu, or she did at some point, like big posters of her everywhere at Kripalu. So I, of course, went and decked out in my doTERRA gear, and I had my oils and I was using them, and I was like, I'm going to connect with so many awesome doTERRA people here. It's going to be great. Because with some of my health challenges recently, I haven't had as much of that connection with other doTERRA people in my area. So I was like, I'm going to meet some great doTERRA people. I was there for 3 nights. I did not run into one single doTERRA person, you guys. And you know how we all are with each other. If you see somebody with like a doTERRA backpack or like a doTERRA shirt, you're like, oh my God, doTERRA, me too, right? No, not a single person was there that like recognized the oils or the shirt or whatever else. So the market is not saturated. And this is like, if you think about kind of like your ideal people, this would be them. Like, they're holistic minded already. A lot of them are already business minded. A lot of the people who I met there were in like a medical field of some sort, but also incorporating yoga and yoga teacher training. And yoga people love oils, right? They use them during their yoga classes. One of my frontline leaders, Vera Ventura, who you guys all know, she just won one of the top spots in the Prime Meridian contest. She won 81st place. She's a yoga instructor. This is how she really is able to get a lot of engagement and build her network, is through her yoga. So again, it's like, don't feed yourself those lies, because that's just your fear. So again, go back to that place of joy. Go back to the beginning, go back to your roots and find it. And really, the other thing about joy and choosing it is that it's a choice. Like, it really, really is. Every day you wake up and you have a choice to be like, okay, I'm tired, or I'm cranky, or I'm in pain, or I don't know, have some kind of a negative something that you can focus on, right? Or you can wake up and say, I'm alive. Like, I get to breathe today and go out and start over. And that's awesome that it's a new day. And yeah, I might feel kind of crappy today or whatever, but it's a new day. And look at all the good things, like count your blessings in your life and just really think about seeing each new day as an opportunity and a fresh start. One thing that I think is kind of really weird about me, and my kids think it's really weird, is that Monday is actually my favorite day of the week. Most people dread Mondays, right? Because they're not choosing a life that brings them joy necessarily, and they're not living in that space. And every single one of us watching, every single one of us here has the opportunity to design our life so that you love Mondays, that you love being able to wake up and be like, I get to change somebody else's life today. I get to go and share these oils with other people. I get to go and share this amazing business. And over the last year specifically, what I realized is that the financial aspect of it is amazing for the financial freedom piece and the time freedom, but the best gift, in my opinion, is the people and the friendships and the relationships that we get to make. And I think, well, okay, I guess I should, for those of you who don't know, last year in February, I was diagnosed with a really rare form of cancer. And I've chosen not to do conventional medicine. So I haven't done any chemo or radiation or anything like that. I chose to go to a clinic in Mexico, and I'm doing all natural holistic treatments. One of them, you guys, I had an IV of frankincense when I was in Mexico. How amazing is that? It was crazy. I was like, can I just like take this home and learn how to inject it myself? But anyway, so really cool. doTERRA needs to get on that and see if we can do some frankincense IVs. Um, but one of the things that I really had to do was dedicate myself completely to um, healing. So that required taking a step back from building my business as actively as I was. And it was really hard for me because I loved it. Like, I love being in daily contact with my leaders. I look forward to it. They've grown to be my best friends. I love talking to my cross line, upline, downline, all these people that just like pull the joy out of me. That's really the best way that I can describe it is like I just look forward to it, and just they've helped me grow so much as a person over the last 6 years since I've been doing this. And not having that, and also just being surrounded with more people who are not in doTERRA, just see the lack of joy that so many others have, and the pettiness and just things that just, I don't know, that are not so important when you start doing things like the projects that we do with doTERRA, with co-impact sourcing and Days for Girls and Underground Railroad, and like really just seeing the immense difference that we are making in the world, that doTERRA is making in the world, that we're following along and doing on a small scale, large scale, seeing, you know, my friends go to Nepal and all these other co-impact sourcing trips and hearing their stories. And I'm like, these people are amazing. Like, I feel like I know celebrities, you know, because they're just doing these amazing things. And when you really step outside of that doTERRA culture and you're not as involved in it, you kind of see the mundaneness of some of the other stuff. So to me, the culture that we have, the team that we have, especially within the rock stars, is unmatched, and it's the best gift ever. Um, so I think when you finally get to a point where you see that as a possibility, um, everyone's just going to want to have what you have, right? And they're going to want to do what you do and join your team. So even though I haven't been as active in terms of like doing classes or live videos or leading team calls and stuff, like I'm still consistently enrolling, which is really weird, right? But I do, like, I post, I'm open and raw and vulnerable, and I share my story out there, and I still share the oils, and people know what I do, but it's not like in a selly way. It's just in an authentic way, because I authentically live my life with these products and use them on a daily basis. So it's enrolling, and I'm not a high enroller by any means. Like, I don't, you know, win these contests, and I've never been a high enroller, but I've been consistent. And my goal is more on focusing on developing leaders, you know, and helping the leaders find that inner joy, so then they can impact more. Because if I can just find 5 people that can then find 1,000 people each, like, that's way more impact than if I was to go out and find 5,000 people or whatever, right? So it's not always like a numbers game in terms of getting the most or whatever. It's sometimes it's the quality too. So that's kind of, I
Can I
guess, where
ask you a
my,
question?
of course.
So when you say like finding leaders, and I like how you talked about the lifestyle and manifesting, and so let's say like some people on this call, they're brand new, they've had their kid a month, 2, 3, maybe a year. They're familiar with the product now, and they're feeling that fire starting inside of them that says, I think I can do this. Like, I want to build this business and run with it. Where would you suggest they start?
Um, where would I suggest they start? I suggest that they find somebody who inspires them, and get a really good mentor that they connect with on a weekly basis, at least. If more, then that would be better. I feel like having that strong connection with another person really helps you. I'm not like a big systems person. I know that we have a ton of systems in doTERRA and it's awesome. Like we have Empowered Success and we have, I don't even know what's out there really right now. There's a lot, way more than when we first got started. It's almost a little overwhelming. But what I've seen within my team too is when you connect people with other people who have similar interests or similar goals or similar backgrounds, and then they get excited together and you're all like kind of excited and on fire and you have that accountability. So that would be my first step because it's always easier to do it together than to do it alone. So find that connection. And if you don't have somebody that can mentor you, reach out to, to Kenzie, to one of us, and we can always find like accountability buddies or just somebody who can help you and who can inspire you. And then weekly calls, I think, are really important. Be really tapped into the team culture. That's one thing that I miss the most is being able to participate in a lot of these team things because that's where you draw a lot of the inspiration and the energy from. So definitely stay connected as much as possible, whether it's with a local team or whether it's online with social media. Um, and I don't know, that works for me. I don't have any more like concrete, like here, make your 100-person list or, do this training or listen to these calls. I think it's more about that connection
Yeah.
initially, because then everything flows. Like you guys will figure out the details and you'll be able to say, okay, well, this works for me, but it might not work for you, or well, what's working for you and why is it working? And maybe I should be doing more of what you're doing. And I don't
Mhm.
know.
Yeah,
That makes
absolutely.
sense.
Yeah, the other day I saw that you shared one of your old photos when you were holding two kiddos, and you talked a little bit about how you shared and how you built your business with young kids. Will you mind sharing some of what that looked like when your kiddos were really, really little and how you navigated that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Lynn Fingerhut is my upline, and she was my doula client. So I was pregnant, she was pregnant, I was her doula. Um, she's the one who enrolled me and got me to a class. And when we first decided that we were going to do the business, we were both like home with kids, like just kids everywhere, strapped on, like at our feet everywhere. And we didn't really have money. Like we were poor, so we didn't have money to pay somebody to come and watch all these kids so we could go do our business. So we were like, why don't we trade kids once a week? Once a week you take my kids so I can work on my business. Once a week I'll take yours. And that's what we did for a long time, so that way we could build our business. And it was awesome. Like just being able to have that, again, that relationship with her where I'm helping her with her goals, she's helping me with my goals, our kids are seeing this unfold. um so yeah, just there's no problems, there's only solutions. So if you think that you have too many kids or you have whatever happening, you can always find a way. So don't let your kids be excuse, let them be your reason, because now both of us have all the time in the world with our kids because we were able to put in that work in the beginning and problem solve and be creative and cheer each other on. And yeah, we wouldn't have been able to do that otherwise if we didn't put that work in the beginning.
That's good. I like that. And sacrifice, right? Like a lot of that comes down to I think sometimes like I'm a mama with two young kids. I think sometimes it's easier to say, "Oh, I can't because I have kids," out of fear versus really thinking I can't figure this out, right?
Mhm.
So I think that's a great point.
Yeah, when Lisa Zimmer first started, I was doing Diamond Club, and back then they let us do Diamond Club when we were Premiere, and I hit Premiere within like I don't know, 3 months of deciding to do the business. So I was like, yay, I'm gonna do Diamond Club, it's gonna be great. And I still had a breastfeeding like infant, right? Like he was only a few months old, and it didn't stop me. Like I brought him everywhere. I brought him to classes. I would bring him to Lisa's house and help her. And like so many times, like I would just have this baby that was on my boob or on my back, or he came to convention with us and he was just there. I don't know. It wasn't I mean, I'm not going to say it wasn't hard because it was definitely challenging at times, and it was a sacrifice because I wasn't maybe doing as many mommy and me classes or whatever that I could have been doing or things like that. But um, he's definitely not disappointed about that because he has his mom home all the time to be able to do all the other things now as he's older. So
That's
your
awesome.
kids will not be screwed up if you teach classes, I promise. One of the biggest takeaways that I had when I went to the Diamond Retreat last year with Gina Truman was these leaders that have older kids. So my oldest is 10. Kenzie, how old is your oldest? Like 4, 5,
He's 6.
6? Okay. Gosh, time flies.
I know.
So these amazing leaders, Karina Bracken being one of them. I love her. She's amazing. She's in our upline. Their kids are all out of the house. They're like, high school age and up. Well, not out of the house, but they're not little kids. And they were just we loved seeing you, mom, go for your dreams and make sacrifices and do these things. And they were inspired by what their mom and dad did rather than being like, you were never there for us or whatever else. Like, I think as moms, that's one of our biggest fears, is that we're going to be neglecting our kids or neglecting our duties. But I think it's so important that our kids see us making a difference in the lives of others and putting ourselves um, as important as well, right? Putting ourselves first and self-care and all that stuff. So it was really nice to see that they didn't have regrets about teaching the classes and doing the things when their kids were younger.
Heck yeah. I'm gonna ask another question, but if you guys have questions, you can unmute and ask too. Um, when you teach classes, do you always teach the same class or do you shuffle through several classes?
I like to shuffle through. I like to have um, one, at least one or two intro classes a month, and then do like a specialty topic every other week. So like intro class, specialty class, intro class, specialty class. And then it also depends on, who's in my local area and what their interests are. So ask them, like, what do you guys want to learn more about? Is it pets? Is it babies? Is it yoga? Is it, I don't know, cleaning, gardening, whatever. So yeah, don't get stale, don't get boring, because then people won't come to the same things. But you always want to be having those intro classes because as your new leaders, as your new team members are getting on board, they might not be confident yet to teach their own classes, so they can bring their people to yours, and then you can co-teach, and then you're training people that way as well. So it's definitely important.
Have you met your leaders online or through personal relationships?
Personal relationships for the most part. So Lisa was actually a fluke because I didn't initially enroll her. So she was enrolled by one of my people that I enrolled. And I found her because she was in my back office enrolling people. And at that time when I was doing Diamond Club, we had such a tiny team. And I was like, who is this Lisa Zimmer enrolling people? Not through the Diamond Club portal. So I reached out to her. And we started our personal relationship, and I went over there right away and we sat down face to face. Vera, I actually found at a play space when I think her 2-year-old was beating up my 2-year-old on a play structure. So we had to talk because our kids obviously were getting into it, and then we just started talking about common interests. And she was like, what do you do? And I was like, I empower people to feel awesome about their health and teach them about essential oils. And I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I was pregnant with my 4th child at the time, you guys. So I'm like big and pregnant. And she's like, wait a minute, you have 3 kids and you stay home and you make money? And I was like, heck yeah, I do. And it was really crazy. And she's like, yeah, I've heard of those oils. I think I have a friend in some place that uses them. And I was like, awesome, that's really good. You should talk to her about the business. And I totally referred her back like we're supposed to do. And a few months later, out of the blue, she calls me because I connected with her on Facebook. And she's like, I haven't stopped thinking about you since that time we met at the play space. And I really want to do what you do. Like, she had a job transition going on, and she had her little baby, and I don't know, it just kind of went from there. And I guess her friend, who she initially heard about the oils, wasn't doing the business anymore, or wasn't building or enrolling. So that's how we ended up together. And then Jen Yates was actually a relationship that I had with another network marketer who happened to be her sister-in-law, who my husband worked with back in high school. And I was new to the area here in Boston, and I was having no shows to my classes. Nobody wanted my voodoo oils. Like, there was no interest. So I was like, all right, I'm starting from scratch here in Boston. So I started networking like crazy. I went to like every single meetup you could think of. I joined a hike it baby group. And Kelly, who's in Unique, she was doing the same thing. She's like, I'm going to go and network with everybody. So I had my doTERRA decal across the back of my car. And she's like, oh, you do doTERRA? I love those oils. Can I get some? And I was like, yeah, and you do this makeup? Can I get some makeup? So we just had this mutual relationship. And then when Jen was like looking for something to do, Kelly was like, you have to go with Joanna. Like, she's like, you have to. And the funny thing about that story is that she had a cousin who sold Young Living. So she didn't refer her to her cousin. She referred her to me because of the relationship that we had, and because of the fact that whenever Kelly needed anything, like, I was there for her, you know, like her kid was sick. I was like, let me make you something and I'll drop it by, or whatever it was. Like, I just took really good care of her. So that was a wild story. And then my other frontline leader, we go all the way back to when I was like 8 years old. I think I knew her from the time we were 8 years old, and she was having some digestive issues. So she wanted just an oil, like a roller bottle for digestion. So of course, I'm not going to just send her a roller bottle for digestion, because here's this opportunity to, you know, tell her about everything else our oils do. So I sent her a book, and she looked through the book and was like, oh my gosh, I had no idea oils could do all these things. So that's the beginning of that.
I dig that. That was awesome. I think that at some point we all need to share how you met your leaders, right? Like, because that's interesting. I dig it. That's so cool.
It is, because then if like somebody found somebody in a really interesting way that
Yeah,
somebody else might not have thought of, it would give us ideas.
exactly. Yeah. Like, join a meetup, right? Like, get
Yeah.
out there.
Yep. Now, for the most part, I do mostly through, especially in the past year, just because I haven't been doing as many classes and stuff. So I've been doing mostly just online now.
Yeah. Do you mind if I open this up and let people ask you whatever they want to ask you?
No, I don't mind at all.
Okay, let's do it. Who wants to go first?
I have a question.
Okay. Who is it? Let me see. Go ahead.
So you alternate your classes, like a basic class and then a special class. So are all your classes public classes in, or do you do any in-home ones?
Yeah, I find that those tend to be the most successful, to be honest, because people feel comfortable bringing their friends to somebody's house that they know, and it's less intimidating. And I bring food, and people like free food. So and drinks. So it's, I don't know, it's just more casual and not as salesy feeling. Although when I was doing them at Whole Foods, like, I would just show up at Whole Foods and just have my class schedule. Random people would come, which was great because it was a way to meet new people, but I didn't have as much enrollment from those as from like in-home classes where people bring people that they already know.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. And then my team brings a lot of people. So it's always fun because then there's more people, right? So then when somebody new shows up to somebody's house and it's like packed, they don't know that those people are already enrolled in using oils, right? They're just like, whoa, I want a piece of this. Like, look at all these cool chicks hanging out here. I want to hang out here and, you know, drink some tea and talk about oils and gossip or whatever. So yeah, everybody wants to belong to something, right?
For
Oh, my
sure.
husband's bringing me my tea. Speaking of tea, thank you.
He delivered. Look at that. What a guy. Hey.
Yeah.
Hi.
Who else has a question?
No question. Just, I love seeing you, Joanna.
You're looking pretty darn good there.
Thank you. I got good news today, so I feel good.
And we would like to know about that good news. I was talking to Chrissy Story a little bit ago about, what do you know about Joanna? Can we hear that good news on this recording?
Yeah, sure. So back in February when they found the mass, which was actually my chiropractor found it because I was having lower back pain, which was odd for me because I usually have left side pain, and this was on the right. She started doing like muscle work in my abdomen and found this lump. It was about 2.4 centimeters. Within a few months, it grew to 8.9 centimeters. So it was like extremely aggressive. They were like, "You're gonna die if you don't do chemo." Like they like put the fear of God into me with the stuff, and I was like, I don't want to do it. Like it was crazy because it was basically growing into my intestines, which could cause an obstruction, and then it could, rupture, and you could bleed out and die and whatever. And then like where my liver is. So it was growing very aggressively. And then in October is when I went to Hope for Cancer for a month. And after that, it basically stopped growing. Like it remained stable at around 8.4 centimeters. And today it shrunk by over 10%. So yeah, like it's down to 7 something, 4 something, and 4 something, which is just crazy.
That's
So
wonderful, Joanna.
it's pretty cool.
Yes.
And my oncologist is like, it's just a radical thing. It's weird. No explanation for how that happened. I was like, I got frankincense in my veins, okay? That's how it happened, lady. DDR prime. Tell everybody.
Yeah.
So I totally, like, my oncologist is actually really awesome. She's not a believer yet, but she's not judgy like some of the other ones I've had. And I was like, when I'm done and when I'm healed, I'm going to write you my protocols and so you can tell your other patients. She's like, okay. So we'll see.
Yes. Being a stroke survivor is a lot like being a cancer patient. And so I definitely relate to you when you talk about, hey, I'm just glad to be alive this morning.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's really true. Like, I don't want to be cliche, but it just puts a different perspective on life, and your priorities become different. And that, the joy piece is so important because you have, if today was your last day on earth, right? Which it's a possibility for all of us. We could all go out and get hit by a tornado or a meteor or whatever, hit by a car. Like what's the legacy that you're leaving behind? Are people gonna see you as a person who chooses joy, who chooses to help others, who chooses to make others feel good? Or are you going to be a negative Nelly and bringing people down and whatever else?
That's right.
And like that's the gift that we have with this team and with all these amazing people. The more you start like really being involved in the doTERRA culture, if you're new, like the more you're going to see that, and it's going to change you at the core. Like it really is. It's going to change. If you're already not like a person who chooses joy regularly, you're going to become that person. It's like inevitable. right
Yes.
Who's been here for a while? Somebody testify.
Yep, that's true. Well, keep up the good work. You're looking great.
Thank you. You too.
Joanna, we got a few people on here who are just kicking off Diamond Club. Do you have any advice for them?
Again, I think so I did Diamond Club, like I said, several years ago. And again, the best thing that I think was the best thing that I got out of that was the relationships that I built with my leaders. Because that's what it really is about, it's about developing your leaders who are not maybe local to you, or even the ones who are local to you, and giving them confidence and really building that trust and that I don't know what the word I'm looking for, synchronicity maybe, I don't know. You just really want to connect with them and let them know that you're in this with them and help them set their goals. And let them know that this isn't about you, and it's not about you winning a prize or you winning a place or a trip or whatever else. It's about you helping them build their team, because that's really what Diamond Club is about. At least that's what it was about for me. And I don't know what the rules are now, but back then we were able to work with cross-line teams. So I could go and like I spent a lot of time with Michelle Ward and Laura Hemmond, who are nowhere, like they're not on my team, they're not on my upline or downline, they're just like my sideline sisters. But we worked together and we were all kind of new at the time, and our relationship to this day is like super strong, and that was because of Diamond Club. So look for those relationships, be consistent, show up, know that you're going to be tired, know that basically it's just a season. Like that's all that it is in your life. It's a season that you're doing this, of the season of sacrifice, and think of all the blessings that will come at the end, and they'll come for years and years and years to come when you establish those strong roots, basically.
Sweet. I'm going to stop the recording so we can ask some off recording questions.